A few days ago, I made a solemn vow to all of you that I would do something. And by golly, I followed through. Lessermen wouldn't have. They would have tapped out and said, I can't handle that kind of torture. But not me. I watched Emilia Perez. Mostly. I turned it off towards the end. It sucks. It is turbo ass. It's just bad. Oscar nominations came out. Emilia Perez stuns the world, getting 13 nominations. That puts it on equal footing with Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Let that sink in. Let that marinate. This movie, that I had not heard a single compliment from a living, breathing, sentient soul, outside, of course, the zombies, the fart-huffing homunculi in Hollywood, these pretentious weirdos that were singing its praises, constantly patting him on the back for a job well done with this artistic masterpiece, fucking pinky up type shit. Anyone with a functioning frontal lobe that witnessed this disaster all had the same things to say about it. That it's trash. And so, I decided to check it out because I said I would. With all of these nominations, maybe there was something there that only my keen peepers could pick up on. There wasn't. There wasn't at all, actually. Now, I'm going to just talk about the movie itself. I'm going to refrain from talking about the circus that surrounded it with the director and pretty much everyone involved in the movie making a fucking fool of themselves. Like the director saying he didn't need to study Mexican culture, he knew all he needed to know. Also them saying that the reason they didn't hire any, Mexican leads for this movie is because they couldn't find people talented enough in Mexico, which is crazy statements across the board from the entire staff here. But go ahead and lock those in the toy chest. I'm not going to play with them today here. People have talked about that a lot. I'm just going to focus on the movie itself. If you can even call this a movie. It's more of like a social experiment on the human patience. Like, how much can you stomach before you just say enough is enough and turn it off? That is the one compliment I can give this movie, is that since it went to Netflix, you didn't have to pay for a ticket and go to a theater to see it. You just pay for the ever-increasing price for Netflix subscriptions, and you get nuggets like this delivered to you, little fucking turd nuggets on a plate. So at least you have the option of easily turning it off. That's good. As far as I'm concerned, the best ending to Emilia Perez is the one I got, where I stopped it early. That's optimal. So you may have heard it been said by others that Emilia Perez is a musical made by people who have never heard music. That's very true. Now, before seeing this film, I did see a couple of very cringe clips. One of them being the very well-known clip now of the Sex Change Operation song. I don't know if I can play a clip from it here. I don't know Netflix's rules on that. So I'll just acapella it for you. Hello, very nice to meet you. I'd like to know about sex change operation. I see. From man to woman, woman to man, man to woman, penis to vagina. Is it for you? I mean, if that doesn't get your finger wiggling, I don't know what will. That musical number goes on for quite some time. It feels like a joke someone would make to insult musicals as a whole. That's how every musical sequence in this movie feels, honestly. Also, I did look it up. There are YouTubers that have put pieces of that musical number in there, so I'm going to do the same here so you can grade my performance a cappella versus the official. I'm going to say, I think I got him beat.
Hello, very nice to meet you. I'd like to know about sex change operation.
I see. Men to woman, or woman to men.
Man to woman.
From penis to vagina. Is it for you?
This is just one of many stinkers. There isn't a single good tune in the entire film. There's not even the semblance of something decent. Like, the DNA of music is not even there. It really does feel like this is made by people who have never even heard a song. Maybe like Happy Birthday at some point in their life, but beyond that, nothing. Every single musical number comes out of nowhere, too. Like a fucking groin shot, Johnny Cage style. You'll be watching the movie, not entertained, obviously, and then it's going to get even worse because in the middle of this conversation, out of nowhere, it breaks into like a pseudo-musical where they introduce maybe like one light instrument in the back, and then the character starts whispering melodically. It's stupid. I just fucking either do like a whole musical number or just don't bother, because that's just weird and silly and annoying. But also, to the team that made this, just don't do musicals ever again because you're bad at it. A lot of these musicals, honestly, like, it doesn't even sound like you're listening to instruments sometimes. It really does feel like they just went in and winged it with whatever they found on set that day, like starting, banging on the catering table or slamming two plates together to get, like, the sound of shattering plates going. And then the characters don't really even sing most of the time. They're mainly just speaking weirdly. So, like, a conversation with Rita and another doctor, she's like, change the soul, change society, change the soul society. The soul society is at risk because Ichigo is no longer a Shinigami. It goes in all these weird directions where they're not singing and they're not talking. They exist in the dimension in between. They're tap dancing on the line of insanity, and it is miserable to listen to. It's like another conversation. We'll stick with the same one. In that same conversation with the doctor, which is like a musical the entire time, it really loosey-goosey nomenclature here, calling it a musical. But Goober sounds like he's, about to pass out from Xanax or something. Like, the way he's delivered, it's like they tried to reinvent singing, and they couldn't do it because you can't reinvent that. Like, there's notes you should be hitting, and there's ways that singing is that you just can't really change the foundations of, but they certainly challenged it. So Goober just starts breaking out into it. Lady, I only fix the body, I don't fix the soul. Your Mr. Mystery better change his mind, change his ID. And then she'll come in and, like, try and duet with it, but they don't mesh, and they also don't, like, conflict well, so, like, the battle doesn't work. So she comes in, you better change your mind, you better change your mind. Like, it sucks. Like, nothing about the musicals work. And that's the whole focal point of this film. And every statement it tries to make on, like, hot button issues just falls so fucking flat. It's very clear that this is a film that had one target demographic, and that's out-of-touch Hollywood weirdos that love to jerk each other off about how in touch they are and how refined their palate is. It is the textbook definition of Oscar bait, and I can really see why so many people hate this movie. It's also extremely shallow. It doesn't make any strong statements on anything at all, and I really do get why, in Mexico in particular, people hate this movie. Because it boils down their entire culture to just being drug cartel. That's it. It is laser focused on trying to tap into the degenerate evil brain of the Hollywood elite. And it successfully has done it, clearly. 13 Oscar nominations. It is truly just for that weirdo groups that love to shake each other's hands and put each other up on pedestals because they like irredeemable dog shit that they think is deep when it's not. And I have no doubt that they think that by enjoying this film, they're in touch and socially conscious of things. I can already just picture it now. Oh, yes, Emilia Perez, one of the finest films ever directed. A lot of Philistines couldn't appreciate the genius of Jacques Audiard. Not like I could. I found a new appreciation for Mexican culture thanks to Emilia Perez. I even had my private chef whip up tamales last night to celebrate. Even been learning the language. Spanish is beautiful. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Buenos noches. Impressive, I know. Gracias. Like, it's just the people that have nominated this pile of doo-doo, this fucking winky. I'm fucking malfunctioning trying to find other ways of insulting this movie. But the fact it's nominated for 13 Oscars blows my fucking mind. Like, it tries to tackle a lot of, like, hot button topics, but it doesn't tackle them. It doesn't tackle anything except your patience as a viewer. It doesn't make statements on anything. It's not deep. It's beyond shallow. The director and everyone who worked on this movie had absolutely not a single moment of reflection when making it where they thought, hey, maybe we should, like, actually try and do something here. The only goal in mind is, how can we try and tick all of the boxes to get Oscar nominations? That's the only thing they did. The movie is a failure on all possible fronts. It's a bad movie. It's a bad story. The characters are bad. The music is really bad, and there's a lot of music. Like, everything about the movie is a catastrophe. It is no surprise to me now why everybody who has seen this movie does not like it. Just point blank, they do not like it. Like, I haven't even really got into like the story at all. I've been just talking about like in broad strokes here. The story is super fucking stupid. I don't even know if it's worth diving into. I feel like I've already ranted about this enough. There is not anything about this movie that I think is like good or worth watching. I will say, like, if I had to really scrap, like pick at morsels for something nice to say about it, there's a couple of set pieces during like a dance or two where I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I guess like a couple of shots where it like almost worked if the music wasn't so shitty. But other than that, there's just nothing here. Like, and that's really scraping the bottom of the barrel for a compliment. It's not only should this not have been nominated for 13 Oscars, it shouldn't have been nominated for anything more than a Razzie. It's a bad movie. Like, it's just not good. It's not like a average movie somehow makes a miracle run at the Oscars for 13 nominations. No, like, there is just no real explanation for why this film is nominated at all, let alone this many times. And it also, like, did extremely well at the Golden Globes, inexplicably. It's probably going to do really well at the Oscars, even though it shouldn't even be there. I don't get it. And now that I've watched it and then turned it off, I can say that it's just not very good. That's about it. See ya.